Hello my crafty friends. If there was ever a Donna card, this is it. Here I am in Tokyo making a sushi card. I'm using stamps and dies from Pink and Main called Roll With It, as well as the slimline stitched rectangle and a white stripes embossing folder. I'm going to show how to use those together to make a slimline background, which is actually bigger than the embossing folder, and how to center that properly. The colouring today is actually very simple colouring. There's nothing fancy happening here. So I'm just going to show you a little burst of the colouring, but what I will do is list at the bottom of the screen the colour combinations that I've used for all of the different elements, because I know that that's something that people are interested in hearing. I've used roughly 18 Copics to colour this image, and you'll see that I use the same colour families to colour different elements. So the lid and the label on the soy sauce bottle are using the R2 whatever's, the up to 2.9, but then the tuna sushi also uses those same colours, but what I've done is taken out one or two dark ones at the top and added in some lighter shades at the bottom, so that even though they're different colours to each other, we still get a nice cohesive card. The same thing happens for the nori seaweed, which in reality is really very dark. It's often almost a blue-black green. And I've used the lighter of those colours to be the darker colours for the wasabi. So even though there are lots of different elements here, I've kept it down to as limited a number of Copics as I possibly could. I decided to draw my own little tray table because that was the picture I had in my mind. But I have no confidence at all in my ability to draw. And so even once I'd started, I decided I needed to cut out all the elements to check my size. And in the end, I'm actually super happy with how my little tray turned out. I really think it does look like what it's supposed to be. I cut the tray out using a mix of my trimmer for the straight lines and my scissors for the fiddly bits. Once I had cut it out, I actually went back over some of the lines so that they would be the same thickness as the lines on the stamp. In order to make the background, I first die cut that stitched border. It's important to do the die cutting first, otherwise when you run something through your die second, it will flatten out all of that texture that you've got from your embossing folder. Once I've done that, I'm finding the center of my card, using that old trick that I learned at school of putting the ruler at an angle until you get a number that you're happy to divide by 2. So putting that at an angle, I got 21 centimeters, so that I knew that 10.5 centimeters was my midway point. Once I'd marked the center, I used that to work out where to place the card in the embossing folder. Now it doesn't matter whether that little line that I've placed goes in the middle of one of those wide pink stripes or in the middle of one of those narrow clear stripes. Either way, you'll get a symmetrical card. As long as the little center line is right in the middle of one of the stripes, it will work. Once you've got that lined up, it's a matter of just closing the folder carefully and running it through your cutting machine. Then, when you take it out and flip it around, you'll find that the paper just slots into the valleys of the embossing folder, and it's really easy to work out where to put it for your second pass through your cutting machine. To make my card base, I've taken a piece of Nina Solar White 110 pound card and scored that at 3.5 inches. Then I folded it in half and cut it. I originally thought that I was going to do 2 layers of each of the sushi, which is often how it comes in the restaurants. But once I put everything down onto the tray, the card just got too busy. And so in the end, I've gone with one of each thing. Once I'm happy with where everything is, I put a bit of press and seal over the top to hold everything in place. I use foam tape to pop up the embossed background, and now I can put everything back on the card. By sticking the press and seal to the bottom of the card by running my hand along it, I can make a little bit of a hinge. And then, by flipping that backwards and forwards, and starting with the layers that are at the back, I can glue everything to the card exactly where I want it. The first things that I glue, that is the back layers, have just normal glue, and then as I get to the front, I start to use some foam tape for some of the elements. The sentiment comes from the same Roll With It stamp set, and it says Domo arigato, which is thank you very much in Japanese. Once I've stamped that using VersaFine Onyx Black ink, then I cut that out using one of my most used die sets, which is the Sentiment die strips from Pink & Main, and my little mini maker. I put the sentiment down with a bit more foam tape, and my card was done. Thank you so much for coming and spending some time with me today. I hope you've enjoyed the card. Feel free to click like and to press subscribe if you'd like to see what's coming next. Stay safe, everybody.